I knew that UFC 257 was going to be good. I didn't know it was going to be this good. Two huge finishes in the co-main event and the main event. So let's dive right into what happened. After what seemed like a very, very long wait, we finally got the debut in the UFC of Michael Chandler. Long time has he been regarded as one of the best lightweights not in the UFC, and tonight he really showed why, finishing Dan Hooker. Coming into this fight, I really thought Michael Chandler would use his dominating wrestling to pressure Hooker, take him down, grind him out over 3 rounds, and I'm very happy that I was wrong in that prediction, and that's not what happened. I knew Hooker would try to stay away from Chandler, try to use his range and do damage, and just prevent Chandler from getting on the inside to hit the takedown. And as the fight started, that's sort of what was happening. Hooker was moving a lot, Chandler was pursuing. Hooker threw some leg kicks, and it seemed like he was really trying to feel out Chandler, and a lot of it was Chandler pressuring and Hooker moving away. Chandler was pressing, and he was right in Hooker's face right from the get-go. You could see he was working to cut the cage and work the angles, and the way this finish played out, it was sort of like Mike Tyson-esque the way he was moving his head. Chandler's moving his head off the line as he throws a straight 2 to the body. Head goes off the line in the other direction as he throws a 3 to the head and puts Hooker down. It was a really well executed combo, and it doesn't happen this way without the head movement. He can't just come in on the line and throw a 2 to the body, 3 to the head. It's going to get countered, and Hooker's going to be moving out of there. The head movement throws the whole thing off for Hooker, and Chandler lands a beautiful combo. Watch it again. Watch the head movement. Hooker turtles up, and Chandler just pounds him out until the ref saves him and stops the fight. Talk about a debut in the UFC, right? After the fight, Hooker took off his gloves and left them in the cage, which is a thing you do when you're retiring and never going to fight again. So I think we should all, as fight fans, hope that's not true, that he's retiring and maybe he was just frustrated and just wanted to get the hell out of there. But I really hope that Hooker is not retiring. Michael Chandler obviously made a case in his post-fight interview for getting a title shot and called out Khabib and Conor and Poirier. I have my thoughts on matchups, but before we get there, we have to talk about the main event. We have to talk about the main event. If the Khabib sweepstakes is a real thing and Khabib might come back, the winner of that sweepstakes after tonight is Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier avenged his loss to Conor McGregor, and he did so in devastating fashion, an incredible performance. Let's take a look. So the fight actually started with a bit of a fake out from Herb. I thought that was fun. But seriously, Dustin comes right out, and then within 30 seconds, he's hitting the takedown. Conor scoots back to the cage, and for a couple minutes, Dustin is working on Conor. They trade positions a few times. Conor spins Dustin to the cage, and then Dustin reverses. A little bit of clinching, grinding, grueling work. And it seems this was an adjustment that Dustin and his team had made to maybe try to suck some of the energy out of Conor McGregor. After a few minutes of this grind, they separate. They both land some combinations, including this fun one where Dustin lands a check hook and he wants to make sure Conor knows it. So the round ends and we start round 2. And I was actually a little surprised that Dustin didn't go right back to the wrestling, right back to the cage work. They actually stayed standing and exchanged a little bit. They had some good exchanges, and Dustin was working this low calf kick over and over. And you could see that it was slowing Conor down. So eventually, Dustin is going to get Conor back against the cage, and he just goes to work. He starts pouring it on. He hurts Conor. Conor goes down, and that's it. But look at this again. Look at the way that Dustin circles and puts Conor back to the cage. This circle doesn't happen if Dustin didn't beat up that leg of Conor McGregor and take away that mobility. Round 1, grinding on him, sucking out some of that energy, making Conor wear the weight. and then round 2 beating up that lead leg. When Dustin goes to circle, Conor can't move as well. He can't follow, and he ends up in a position that he does not want to be in. Once he puts Conor's back to the cage, Dustin just goes to work. He trusts his defense. He trusts his guard. He avoids some counter shots by Conor, and he just pours it on. And then that's that. The ref saves Conor, and the fight's over. We asked what adjustments Dustin and his team would make, and to their credit, everything they did tonight, everything they prepared for this fight was exactly what it needed to be. Slowing Conor down, taking away the mobility, trusting his defense, and just putting Conor in the positions that Dustin needed him to be in order to be successful. After the fight, Poirier says that if Khabib isn't coming back, that he feels like he and Conor just fought for the title and he should consider himself the champion, and I have a hard time disagreeing with him. And then in Conor's interview, Conor was humble in defeat, as to his credit, he always has been humble in defeat. And he basically said that not fighting for a long time and lack of activity is a thing. I know that he wanted to fight a lot in 2020, but after the Cowboy fight, that was it. And I think part of that was on the UFC's end, not wanting to book him during pandemic when they probably couldn't do the same numbers. I don't know where Conor's going to go from here. He has said that he wanted to fight like 7 times in the next 18 months, and we'll see if he sticks to that. In his interview tonight, he said that he wanted to fight more and that he needed more time and he needed to be more active, and that's why he didn't do well against Dustin. And he gave Dustin his credit, but I think that's where he's thinking that he needs more activity. I don't think he's wrong. You can't fight once a year and expect to go in every time and perform against the best guys in the world. So where do we go from here? I think the obvious question is Khabib. I think after 2 finishes tonight and 1 finish by a guy who Khabib hasn't fought before, and Michael Chandler, I think if you're Khabib, you might want to come back and fight again. Where does Charlie Oliveira fit into this? I don't know. I do think even after a loss tonight, the fight with Charlie Oliveira versus Dan Hooker is still a good fight to make. I know that Dan Hooker's fought some of the best guys. He's had 2 Fight of the Year contenders against Paul Felder and Dustin Poirier in 2020. I don't think he falls super far out of the rankings, and maybe a fight with Oliveira could be fun, would be fun. I'd like to see it. Hooker did call him out a little bit for not wanting to fight Michael Chandler tonight on this card, and Oliveira said that he couldn't make the weight, and Dan Hooker implied he didn't believe him by outright saying that he didn't believe him. So maybe those two settle it. I don't know. Is Hooker retiring? I don't know. I hope not. But if Khabib does come back, I think the fight to make is Khabib versus Poirier. And I know Poirier got finished by Khabib, and it really wasn't close, but what Poirier has shown us for his whole career is that he'll make adjustments and get better and fix parts of his game that need to be fixed. And we just saw it tonight. He just fought a completely different fight than he fought against Conor McGregor 6 years ago. He finished the guy who finished him. If Khabib doesn't come back, then I also don't really know exactly where you go. You have Dustin Poirier, who I think is sort of the uncrowned champion. You have Michael Chandler, who just won tonight. You have Charles Oliveira in the mix. Gaethje, I know, is in the mix, but Gaethje just fought for the title against Khabib and lost. And Gaethje was finished by Poirier not too long ago, so I don't really think he's up there with these 3 guys now, Michael Chandler, Khabib, and Dustin Poirier. If there's no Khabib coming back, do Poirier versus Chandler, and that's for the title. That's just my opinion. That's just what I want to see. Then you do Charlie Oliveira versus Dan Hooker. Maybe the winner of that, if it's Oliveira, fights for the winner of Poirier versus Chandler. But again, this mini lightweight tournament that we got going on right now is a lot of fun. Who do you think fights for the title next? Who do you think deserves it? Do you think Poirier is the uncrowned champion at 155? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, why not give this video a big thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We have a lot of content coming in the next week. I'll see you guys all next time. And now, since it's 3 in the morning, I'm going to go to bed.